Hello, everyone, and welcome to another West Kent Spiritist Group Live. Tonight we're having Vanessa Ferreira with us. We're going to be bringing some good points for reflection and points for us to learn and think about it. But before we go with Vanessa, I would like to open this live. Welcome everyone, and open this live with a short prayer. So I would like to invite you, if you can, wherever you are, to close your eyes and elevate your thoughts to the divine, to God, and just be thankful for the opportunity to be here at this moment in this life, to go through the tribulations that we all go through, but above all, to learn the things that we need to learn through those tribulations, through those troubles that we go through, but not just by the troubles, through our companions, or our family, our friends that help us along the way, and the opportunity to evolve in this forward in this path forward to the infinity as we learn from God, from the spiritist benefactors, through Allan Kardec, his work and his books. So much have been contributing for our evolution, for our growth, and for the thoughts and reflections that we'll be having here tonight. So be it. So we at the West Kent Spiritist Group, we gather every Sunday morning at 11:30. The church at the village hall in West Peckham near Maidstone. So if you can, if you're in the Kent area, if you're in London and you're looking for a place to go, maybe in the Sunday morning, and to have a conversation, to listen to many of the things that we're going to be discussing here today, with Vanessa and reflecting. Come along and meet us at every Sunday morning, 11:30. We always start with a bit of a coffee and tea, and just to have a get together and get to know people and have a bit of a social. And then at 12 o'clock, we start with our studies, which are basically a bit of a discussion. We talk about the Spiritist book. We talk about the Gospel, the Genesis, that have been codified by Allan Kardec. If you know the work of Allan Kardec, if you don't, come along, and come to study with us and reflect about these wonderful teachings that the Spiritists have left us. And going to talk about our um, speaker tonight is Vanessa Parra Ferreira, and Vanessa has 46 years old. Is 46 years old. She's a business manager and economist who's been living in London since 2021. She's a fourth generation of a Spiritist family. Vanessa was raised following the Spiritist principles in her hometown of Aracatuba in Brazil. She has been an active speaker and educator on the international Spiritist movement from the times she lived in Singapore. Currently, Vanessa holds the chair position at BUS, the British Union of Spiritist Societies, where she supports Spiritist centers and societies throughout the UK. In her spare time, Vanessa enjoys practicing yoga, long walks, and to listen to classic music. So, without further ado, I would like to bring you all Vanessa Parra. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hello, good evening or afternoon or morning, whatever time people are listening to this. So very nice to be here with you, Leandro, tonight.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, and the stage is yours.
Mm, excellent. I don't know if people can see the slides I'm about to share. Oh, awesome. And I just realized that today we're getting closer to the springtime here in the UK. and I love a little bit of flowers. And springtime is always a time of renewal, new life coming along. So I think this is the invite for us today. The path for goodness, it's a new invite every day. It's a path, it's a journey. And this is one of the most important things tonight. Um, but what about this? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to make this work. So if you are curious as I am, uh, and I was thinking about this topic, the first thing that I did was to Google. And some people like me like Google. I love it. And if you Google path to goodness, this is probably one of the first things that you're going to see. It's a mention of the Psalm 25. It's on the Bible, on the books of the Psalms. This one is attributed to King David. That wasn't, a king, but before being a king, he was a musician. So he wrote these prayers that sound as music. I'll save you all from me singing, but what it says is, show me your ways, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teaches me. For you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in all day long, is with you all day long. And it starts as one of the first mentions, and this has been written many centuries before Christ, and it show a bit about the path that we know, this link about the journey, the path, the way, and it's Lord's way. So it starts saying two things that we need to keep throughout this talk is, there's a path, there's a journey, and it's a path towards the Lord, towards whatever name you give to God. But Spiritism also talks about this idea of the path. If you, there's a very nice website, Wikipedia, that has all the books of the done by Kardec, written by Kardec, codified by Kardec. They were not written by Kardec. And again, my curiosity, I did search for path for goodness, and this is what came along. If you previously took pleasure in evil, it was because you did not understand how sweet is the enjoyment of doing good. So this idea, building on the path of the Lord, is the path of doing good. But remember that all of us someday, and it's still probably I still do today, took pleasure in evil. But when we discover how sweet, how nice, how does it feel good to doing good, you are on the path of goodness. And this path of goodness show a new light in your eyes. And God will always hear the prayer of us who sinners who repents. He will not repel anyone who seeks him. So there are new ideas coming here on this path from Spiritism, saying that the path of goodness is the path of enjoyment of doing good. And this path bring us new ideas, new beginnings. As I was saying about the spring, is a new light that is bringing flowers, renovation, color to our eyes. And if we were before in another path, God will always be with us. So this idea of the path, the journey, the good, and God has always been present throughout history. And I could never do this if we don't talk about Jesus. And Jesus also had this idea of the path and the gate. And there's a very famous quote that is on Matthew that many of us have probably heard before, talking about enter through the narrow gate, because wide is the gate, and the narrow road that leads to life, and only a few will find it. So there is also this idea that you are going through a gate, through a pathway, and Jesus brings us this idea of that we are in a crossroad, and not many of us will follow the narrow gate. And this is very curious. And I would leave you curious for a bit till you understand a little bit more about the path and how you can make this choice when you are in the crossroad. Because all of us, in every time, many times in our life, don't think that this is going to happen once. Many times through our lives, we'll be at these crossroads and we'll have to choose the path and the narrow path that will lead us towards the divine. Leandro, when he made the introduction and was talking about me, he mentioned that I like long walks. I absolutely love long walks. Yesterday, I probably walked 25K, I think, 20 to 25. I just walked at 10 just before this chat. But I also, because I love walks and I love nature, I love hiking. So you're going to see some mentions here. Um, because when I saw this idea of the path that King David brought us in the old traditions of the Bible, Spiritism brought the idea of the path. Jesus talked about this idea, say, okay, if this is a path, I need to find what is the final destination, where I'm going to. Then I can decide how I get to this final destination, how I get to the summit. If you are an avid hiker, you say, I'm heading for the summit. But what is the summit, the top of the mountain on this life journey? Uh, Again, curious as I am, I went to look for the dictionary. First of all, I wasn't sure if I knew what goodness is. And I say, okay, let's look at the dictionary. I was told when I was a child, if you don't know anything, either the encyclopedia or the dictionary. I tried the dictionary before I went to Wikipedia, but goodness, by the Oxford Language Dictionary, mean the quality of being morally good or virtuous. And I mark it out here morally, because what is moral? And I look at it further to say morally refers to the principles of being right or wrong. So, okay, so if I want to reach the summit to being goodness, I need to be morally good, and morally comes with the sense of what is right, what is wrong. And what is right, what is wrong, according to the dictionary again, tells me that we need to find its means. It has to consider the code of behavior of a particular society. And then I become perplexed. But to myself, really? I'm not even better doing all this research in the dictionary than I was before, because it tells me that I need to define what is wrong. But how do I define what is right and wrong? Does it change depending if I live here in the UK or I was living in Singapore, or if I was born 200 years ago, I was going to be born, or 100 years from now? So how do I have a sure guide on this right behavior? So I went to the Spiritism book. Uh, if you haven't seen or read the Spirits book, I strongly encourage. It's wonderful. Is one of the best books ever written, if codified, if I have to say. Uh, and there's a mention on at the back end of the book. The Spiritist book is a Q&A book. So there are questions and answers. Again, something that I also adore. And someone asked it, and the spirit of Paul, that the Catholic Church and other churches call St. Paul, but the spirit of Paul, the apostle, saying, gravitating towards the divine union is the goal of humanity. Three things are necessary to reach this goal: knowledge, love, and justice. Three things conflict with this goal: ignorance, hatred, and injustice. And now for me, it becomes a little bit more clear. Okay, I'm reaching this destination, I'm heading for this summit, and I now know that I need to find the right path, that is what's morally acceptable, and I have a clear guide. I have to go towards the divine, to be in unison with the divine. I have to cultivate knowledge, love, and justice. And I have to avoid being ignorant. Again, need to study and be more knowledgeable. I need to avoid hatred, and I need to avoid injustice. Okay, so three, four things that I need to do, easy peasy, not at all. Again, because what is the divine? What is love? What is justice? So I investigated a little bit further. Uh, and I said this in the Spirit's book. The question is the first question that asks, what is God? It doesn't ask who is God, it asks what is God. And God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things. And I could have looked for this answer in many other books, in many other philosophies and traditions that will give the same answer. Because I did that already, and probably in some other talk I investigate this further on other philosophies, the Jewish tradition, the Islam tradition, the Hinduist tradition, all of them have the same answer. God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things. Again, resonates. My reason accept that everything that exists must have a cause. And if I go back and back and back, I and don't find any the first cause, the thing that started it all, it's called God. Okay, understood, can be, but doesn't help that much if you are thinking about it, because it's the first cause, and I want to know more. I want to have more of a sense what is God, because if I am to go towards this divine union, going towards this primary cause, I need to have further guidance. My radar is not going to find the primary cause if I don't have any directions, give any parameters for it to look. So I look it up, and even on the Spirit book is saying God is unique, all powerful, eternal, unchangeable, immaterial, supremely just and good. So even though the Spirit's book and some other traditions as well say that we are not yet able to fully comprehend what God is, we can have some sense of the attributes of God. How do I think about this primary cause? And I did a bit of a reflection to say, if I am to go towards this divine union, I, as a spirit, if God is unique and all powerful, eternal, we are not. The spirits are not going to be. First, it's unique. There is only one God. So we cannot be, because that would be another primary cause. And so it doesn't work, right? So God is unique, all powerful. We are not, because that is God. It's this primary cause. We are not eternal. Spirits are created simple and ignorant, but we are going to leave. We don't have it after we have been created by God, the primary cause. We are going to live an immortal life, in the sense that there's not an end inside, but there was a beginning. So we are not eternal. On the other hand, spirits can be unchangeable, in the sense of the nature itself. We are going to evolve. We are the unchangeable here. It doesn't mean that we are created simple and ignorant, and we are gonna end our journey as simple and ignorant. Not at all. But the spirit, as we were created, we evolve. This energy evolves. What the spirit? We are immaterial, but we are not yet supremely just and good. So going towards not being God, but going towards the union with God means That while we go evolving towards perception is again evolving towards being this justice and goodness that God has. This is the first part of us in this journey. So one part of the goal is to be going towards this perfection, justice, goodness, and going towards love. Uh, I bring here a quote, and it's probably one of the very few quotes, if not the only one, in this whole presentation that is not from any of the Spirit's book or the Spiritist codification, not for any other reason that I think I love this definition about love. Love is not doing, but a state of being, a relateness, a connectedness to another mortal. Because this is not a spirit book, it's saying mortal, but it would be a spirit. And identification with her, him, with them, that simply flows within and through me, independent of my intentions or my efforts. This is for me is one of the most beautiful definitions of love, in the sense of it's not that. And my therapist was telling me when we were talking, say, Vanessa, you don't love someone just because you want to love someone. It comes, it flows. It's not because you want to love someone that love will appear. It might help, it might trigger the fire, but it's not love. It's care, it's kindness, but love is this state of being that flows, identifies, connects us in something that is absolute sublime, that most of us could not ever, unless you experience this, will never know how to describe, because it's a flow and intention and emotion and a feeling that for someone that you might figured it out by now. I try to reflect and rationalize and think and think and think. It's not a think, it's a feel. It's something that goes beyond what rational beings on our rationality try to convey and define. Um, but as I want to bring this closer, not to this state of feeling of love, uh, you might recall that some pages ago I was talking about Jesus. And the quote that comes just before the narrow gate, when he was saying that, giving the context, is uh, when he was asked by the disciples about what is the path, what is the journey, what is the end state that we should be going towards. He answered, in everything, do to others what you have them do to you. For this sum up the law and the prophets. So if I am to get into this state of love, that it is these connections, this flow, we can start by the practical action of doing to others what we want them have do to us. Because this, if we do that, we are certainly creating this sense of love, this sense of justice that will bring us closer to the divine. And as Jesus is telling us, that clearly sums up everything the law and the prophets, because by this state of action, you create the chain of events that will lead us towards the summit. I'm stopping here just for you to take a breath, reflect a bit on how powerful this simple quote by Jesus can completely change one's life. But as you reflect through that, and now we know what is the summit, where we are heading towards, we might be asking yourself, okay, I know where I'm heading there. I know Jesus gave me the clue on how to choose when I'm in a crossroad. But what is the path? Because it's not, even though Jesus gives us the guide, and the Spirit's book always says, there's a wonderful question that asks, what is the role model that we should follow? And it says Jesus. It's not always easy because the path, even though it can be beautiful, uh, it can be tricky, it can be challenging. In a lot of my hikes, I love when I head to the summit and I get to the summit, it's wonderful. But I have to say, a lot of my guides think I'm gonna have a heart attack on the path. Some of them even declined to take me to the summit because I feel absolutely exhausted, but keep going. So I asked myself, okay, how we know how we get there? I know where I'm heading, but how I get there? And the beautiful thing about spiritism is it's I think, in this for me, is one of the most wonderful things about spiritism is that this is a journey, and we are all born, not born, created as imperfect spirits, and we are taking steps one at a time towards being pure spirits, and it's one step after the other. And the whole certainty is the, the first step and the last step are certainty. It's our choice how we go through this journey and this path. So God created us all simple and unaware. We all of us had no knowledge. So we got from God a mission to enlighten and help us, the spirits, reach gradually, and I emphasize here, gradually reach perfection through the knowledge of the truth and rise closer to Him. Whenever we reach perfection, we will find eternal bliss without any troubles. Why am I emphasizing gradually? We don't have one single incarnation to go from this imperfect spirit. Sorry. We don't have one incarnation to go from the beginning of this journey to the end of it. It's a gradual. And even though here is kind of showing steep steps, and it does appear a little bit too steep, it's not. We are taking one step at a time in a gradual succession that will take us to pure spirit. And I'm not saying this to create anxiety to anyone. On the contrary, it does mean that we need to one day, there's one mention on the gospel from St. Augustine, that he was saying that every day, if you want to do an exercise, every night as you go to bed, take an account what you have done through the day, and think that today you have to be a better person than yesterday, and tomorrow you are going to be a better person. And that is the entire journey. I'm not saying for us to take the pressure. I'm i'm telling this to take the pressure out of you, the anxiety that we have to do everything now at this moment, and we have to be better every single day. We have to, ideally, if we can, get up at bed at night and see I was better today than I was yesterday. And I have to confess, there are days, a lot of days, when I do take that reflection, that I think today I was a very worse person than I was yesterday and the year before, the word day. And that's fine, because it's also not a linear journey. Some days we are going to say, okay, today was a terrible day. I did something that I'm really not proud of. I did something that, and for me, is I have a problem and I never had to call some, and I cannot get things to solve it, and people take out of my nerves if I I want to solve something and I don't get it solved, and I don't get it solved, it takes me, and I become nervous, and then I scream with someone, and every night then I say, okay, oh my God, I did that again. Now I'm thinking, okay, if I do this 1 out of 5, it's better. One, yes, some time ago it was 1 out of 10 out of 10. I'm trying to get to 5 out of 10. That I get nervous and scream with someone when something doesn't get solved, especially yeah, call centers, poor people. I really feel for them, but it's a journey. Some days you're gonna say that didn't work out, and but the journey, that's the thing. This is a journey, and the I'm an economist by training, so we always say that evolution, any evolution in any indication, it's never ever a straight line up. If you see a graph, if you remember a graph up to school, that you see the straight line up, everything in economy or in evolution, it's something like this. It's trending upwards. And there are days that are down, there are days that are up, but it's trending. It's the trend that needs and always is going to be trending upwards. I'm trying to get my presentation. We are going to get there. Hold with me. Sorry, I'm going to get there. The one thing here is, do spirit Elsa is saying, thank you very much. No, thank you, Elsa. And anyone, if you have any questions, Frau, just let us know. Thais is saying, we don't need to be better, but we can at least try. Yes, I think that's a wonderful quote. We don't need to, we have to try. And one of the things, Thais, that reminds me is the intention. The Spirit book talk a lot of times about the intention for us, that God and the Spirit take in account our intentions and how our heart and our feelings are going towards that. Okay, so if I go back, one thing is, we are all going to become perfect. We change over the course of time, the sense of we evolve in the course of time, no matter how long the process may take. And I think here, I recall once my nephew, he was about probably 6 or 7. And I asked him, his name is Martin. I asked Martin, do you think, he was telling me, Auntie, I discovered something today. I say, okay, what? Time doesn't exist. Time is an illusion. And one of the thing is, when I was like, what? And this is a very deep philosophical concept that is on the Spirit's book as well, that tells that time as we understand it today, we might understand time differently on as spirits that are not incarnated on this dimension, on this planet. So take this thing out. The time, it might take, what is 1 day, 1 year, 1 month, 100 years on a spirit time? We don't know. Again, we will take the time that it needs. If every time we get to the crossroad, we remember the teachings and say, for me to go to the narrow path, what is the trick? What is the code that opens the narrow path? Do to others what you want others to do to you. And if you, every time you have the intention of going to that direction, over time, whatever time it takes, we will become perfect. And here go again. So, in how we acquire this knowledge, we acquire this knowledge by experience the trials inflicted by God. And I don't like the word inflicted here, because God doesn't inflict anything on us. As the supreme justice and supreme goodness that God is, he gave us these opportunities to either correct something that we have not yet got it right at the first place, or we got it completely wrong, to be that, and to experience new trials, new opportunities. Why does he do that? Because if we were created perfect, we would have no merit. What would be the merit without struggle? And I think it is interesting. I think a week ago, probably a week ago, last week, I was studying with some group, and we are talking about that. What if you wanna do play tennis? I like sports as well. If you wanna play tennis, and you have it on your mind that watching all the games on TV or live, if you want, you know how to play tennis. You only gonna be able to know if you really know how to play tennis or whatever sport, or play the piano for other thing that I like. You need to practice. Otherwise, it's all in your head. And by practicing, if you are a good tennis player, or if you're a good piano player, or whatever, anything you do, it does mean. I went to another classical concert the other day, and I heard I was on the pamphlet, and the pianist was saying that he practiced the same piece, that is a half an hour piece, throughout 3, 4, 6 months. He played every day for 8 hours a day, the same piece, 30 minutes piece. This is absolutely. Can you imagine that for 6 months, every 8 hours a day, you do play the same piece, the same 30-minute piece? I'm not going to do the math here, but how many times have you done the same piece, play the same piece to get it right? This is us on this journey. We are going to have to come and not be on our heads, oh, I'm a good person. I don't have this, let's say, this addiction, and mine is a coffee addiction. I don't have a coffee addiction in my head. I'll wake up first thing. I don't have a coffee addiction when I'm sleeping, but I wake up, I need my 3 cups of coffee before I speak to anyone. I will only know if I'm able to not be a coffee addict if I wake up in the morning for a period of time and I look at the coffee and say, no, thank you, thank you, thank you. It'll get to a moment that I actually am not addicted anymore. But that for me probably in another life, not on this one. But it's the same on our journey to perfection. We need to try. And God gave us this absolutely wonderful opportunity for us to try. So whenever we get to the end of it, and as my example with the piano player, whenever the piano player did this wonderful concert and he enjoyed that this audience went in a state of bliss because he played the most wonderful 30 minutes that I could see, that I remember, can you imagine his enjoyment of the perfection? He wouldn't have if he wouldn't have struggled to get to this perfection on playing. So imagine God that is all justice would be better than us in giving these, right? And this incarnation is just a tool to reach perfection. It's not about punishment, it's not about suffering, even though a lot of times we do suffer, but the goal is a tool to reach this path of perfection. Uh, Throughout the gradual decrease of these imperfections and atonements, through these successive lives, again, God give us not only once, give us a series of opportunities for us to decrease these imperfections so we can reach the divine union by reconciling reason with compassion. And I think this is another important thing for us to remember on this journey is At the beginning of this talk, there was a mention that we reach towards the divine union by acquiring knowledge, by love and justice. So the concept of knowledge and reason goes together with love. I'm not saying one is better than the other. They go together. We are gonna need to develop our reason as we develop compassion. There are some theories, you can accept it or not, that as we learn, it first reaches our reason, then we'll reach our heart and our feeling. The other way around, it doesn't really matter, but they go together. I joke with myself that even though I'm not a really fan of biology, one day I'll need to learn biology. One life I will. And there's a kid that always jokes with me that say, Auntie, not life is not all about maths. You need to learn languages and literature. And I was like, can I stay with math? Math is so good. I'm so happy with that. But no, I'll have to learn, all of us, because we are going to develop multiple abilities throughout this gradual decrease. So I'm taking my comfort that I don't have to understand biology in this life, some other life, maybe eventually. But reason will go with compassion. So, and sometimes we evolve one or the other, more knowledge, more compassion. But as we reach the divine union, we will have developed both. This will be being a pure spirit. Okay, I'm just pausing it again for us to recap where we are. We talk about the summit. Remember, what is the end goal of life, of this succession of lives that we go through? What is the end goal? So, the end goal, I'll recap, is to reach divine union with knowledge, love, and justice. And if we are ever in doubt, follow Jesus, his example, do to others what we want others to do to us. Okay? What is the path? How we get there? We get there through the succession of lives, the reincarnations, and these possibilities that God has given us, that each step of the way gradually evolve towards perfection. Okay, so we know what the summit is, what the end goal is. We know what the path is. But as I learned on one of the most important things when you go for a hike on the mountains is the gear, is the tools. I live by my hiking boots. I always say to people that my hiking boots are the most precious thing I possess, probably one of the most expensive ones as well, because without the right hiking boots, and if you like me, go hiking in cold weather, I think I got to -20 or -30, you need to have proper jackets, proper coats, underpants, under everything, and very specific things, otherwise you freeze. So as you know what the end goal is, you know the path, you have to have the right tools to reach there. And in our case on this life journey, what are the gear, what are the tools that you need? And again, if you go back to the spirits book, there's one of the question that asks, what is the most effective method for guaranteeing this self-improvement and resisting the attraction of wrongdoing? And I love this, that he said, a philosopher of antiquity once said, know thyself. So the gear or the tools that we need to go on this journey, to go on this path, is to know ourselves. It does appear, and you'll say, oh, you got to here, and it does appear quite easy, right? I just have to look at myself and know myself. Probably one of the most difficult things. We are very good in pointing fingers to others. We're very good at having a superficial understanding of ourselves, but it takes a lot of courage. I think it takes a lot of bravery to really look to ourselves and really think deeply beyond the surface. Who am I? What what are the things that are great about myself? What are the things that are okay? What are the things that are actually quite ugly? And love the things, the great, the good, the bad, the ugly, the uglier that we might have, the one that we hide, because us, we are like this iceberg in most of the cases, that we know what is above the surface, and probably know if you can see, but most of us would, if you just say, oh, who is Vanessa? My uncles used to say, oh, the blondie with the blue eyes. That's what they, my niece, blonde niece with blue eyes. That is the surface. They might, or a lot of times when I ask someone, can you describe yourself? They will give me the profession. I'm a doctor, I'm a physician, I'm an athlete or engineer. Or every time they ask me to describe myself, most of the times I describe I'm the daughter of Nelson and Marilda. Or because I grew up in the countryside, probably I would say I'm the daughter of, I'm granddaughter of, I'm the great granddaughter of, I'm a lot of times in my hometown. I'm the niece of Dr. X, Y, and Z, because people will know my uncle that is a doctor. So you always related to someone, but that is the surface. What is below the surface that has amazing views, and there are some that I have to embrace and love either way. How do I get there? There are a lot of clues on behaviors and emotions and triggers. And nowadays, the most of, you can look it up for every opportunity to reflect, meditate, look upon what triggers you. And there's a mention here that I also love. We need to be self-conscious about who we are. Yes, we need. And that is the entire cue and knowledge that will give us, because a lot of times I think when we are at the crossroad, we don't think we are, because we're not paying enough attention. And we just keep going. And we become these mouse rats that are on this wheel at the lab and just keep going. And if I'm going to leave you with something today is take a time, pause, breathe, think, who am I and what in this situation am I doing towards this path and this journey that I'm embarking? Because the other saying of Jesus that I absolutely adore, and most of the times I finish my talks up saying that, is Jesus told us, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And love ourselves does involve love the goods, but love the bad with the same intensity, with this love that flows, because that love will flow from us to the other and will create this connection. So with that, I thank you so very much. Sorry if I'm taking too long. I hope it was helpful. I always say that I learned more than anyone, that because I had to think a lot about myself to write this down and think through. So I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I love the idea, of the concept of the iceberg, and when looking at someone's, we cannot obviously take anyone at face value, because there's every person is a word in herself, himself, and with this the vastness, the complexities that entails. So that's really great. And when I was thinking about the idea of the journey that you were talking about at the beginning of your talk, of improvement, self improvement, and to better ourselves. So today I'm seek to be better than I was yesterday, and tomorrow I'll be better than today, and so on. By active doing this sort of exercising, do you think then that help us to towards help to achieve empathy towards others, even when in the face of injustices, you would say?
When we love ourselves, we accept that we are what Jesus was telling us. When love oneself and love others as you love oneself. And the reality is, when we do these reflections and we look with love to us,
Hmm.
my thing is you become kinder to others, because you start to accept that we are not perfect. I'm not. I have a lot of imperfections, lots and lots.
I'm
But
sure
I have
we
to
all
change.
do.
We
We
all
all
do.
do.
But then you become kinder to others, because you start to see the others with the eyes of the humble,
Mm,
and that create the sense of empathy,
yes.
and this energy of flow of love that you have, your aura, everything, because you are in peace with you, the energy flows. That's
True.
but it's not, but I have experienced some moments, and exactly this is what the books tell us. An
Hmm.
example the master Jesus gave us.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And another thing that was reflecting about was the fact that when you said about your hiking, that you have your boots for hiking, it's because it's the proper tool. It's the proper tool. And when comparing this to the incarnation, for let's say this life, this incarnation, my life, your life, what anyone's lives that is watching this, um we must have the right tools, and obviously we can talk about qualities, attributes, and all that, but in a world where materialism is still so embedded in a lot of people, perhaps would you say that having a bit of spirituality in us could be considered then a tool to get us through the life or this incarnation, for instance, in a better way?
And absolutely, and I like this you use the word spirituality. It and I call it out, because even though I've been saying Jesus, Master Jesus, and using the terms, is this connection with the divine, that is the
Mm,
spirituality. And the connection with the divine exists throughout history, since ancient times. We were connected to the divine and the divine union that flow through us. If we are able to connect with this divine, you can call God, you can call Allah, you can call Abraham or Ganesha, if you want to call it Ganesha. Uh, but you are connecting to this energy through your spirituality, and this probably will give us the strength for the material trials that we go through.
mm, true.
So
Yeah. No, I absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head with with this spirituality because I believe it was someone asked Gandhi, I believe it was, about which religion was the best religion to have, and Gandhi replied that the best religion is the religion that leads you to the path of goodness. So therefore, any religion can be the best religion, isn't that?
Or
Because
no
there's
religion at all.
oh no
You
yeah,
have
obviously. Sorry, go on.
no what I and we are spiritists, and I'm, as you mentioned, I'm have the position currently of heading the spiritist, the union here in the UK, but it's about this inner connection and the different paths. There's one path to goodness, that is this path of connecting with the divine through love, justice, and knowledge. If you stay with these three words: God, knowledge, and love, this is a spirituality. We don't need to give a name of a religion.
Yeah, true, true.
And
Yeah,
what I do think is, for Spiritans has a very sound basis that can help us on the tooling and the gear, and that's why I absolutely adore this doctrine. But like for some other, might be a different tool and gears. I prefer one brand of hiking boots. You might prefer other, or you might not hike at all.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with you. I share your passion about the Spiritism doctrine. I think this for me the Spiritism doctrine taught me, the truth that I needed. And I absolutely love for that because the truth, as Jesus said, know the truth and the truth will set you free. And in my case, the Spiritist doctrine set me free, from the chains that I was attached to, from other paths. But I'm not criticizing other religions. I'm just saying that where I was, it wasn't answering all the questions that I had, as the Spiritism do. But for some other people, it might not be Spiritism. It might be Buddhism. It might be the Hinduism. It might be, being a Sikh. God knows. As long as it leads you to the good path, I think that's, as you were saying, I think that's what we all must strive for.
Yeah.
Um,
Having said that, because we share this passion, I invite all to read the Spirit's book. It's a great book.
Absolutely. It is indeed. It is indeed. It's a book that with many questions and very profound answers. Very profound answers. So if anyone who's watching us, if you haven't read this book, this marvelous book yet, we strongly suggest you do start with that one.
Yeah.
Vanessa, I can't thank you enough for being here today, giving us this huge talk. And you talked about so many things, and I'm sure we could talk more about those points, but unfortunately our time is limited. So I think we're gonna have to leave there. However, before we go, would you like to say some final words?
Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the ones listening to us again. We invite you. We share this passion. Uh, Find us. One thing that I'm gonna say to everyone: if you want to look for more information on spiritism and look for groups or events near you, go to our website on Buzz. It's buss.org.uk, and you can find the West Kent group as other groups, and maybe one that is near to you, or one day that you want, a Monday afternoon, want to find something today or tomorrow. Just go there and find it out. So it's an invite.
Yeah, and I think that's your website. There is this is That's how you say it.
Yeah,
Bus.org.uk. Yeah. So
absolutely.
anyone who's in watching us, and you might not be in London, might not be in Kent, but you in other parts of the UK, and you're thinking of knowing more about Spiritism, and this doctrine, and or the Spiritists doc. doctrine. So go to the bus's website, and then we find more places to go. Maybe, and I'm sure there might be one near you. And Vanessa, can I ask you to do the closing prayer if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, with this good thought and good energy, we raise our hearts, our minds towards the divine. God, may you be with us always as you are. May you share your love to this planet, to this dimension, to all of us. Give us the strength to keep going on the journey. Keep us steady on our will so we can keep going and we'll reach you. Thank you. So be it.
Thank you so much once more, Vanessa.
No, thank you.
And thank you for all of you who's been with us, watching and sharing with us these moments. And if you like this video, please share and spread the word to your friends and colleagues, so we can, so they too can um n- hear about the spiritism and this doctrine and so on. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.